Why?
Storm activity not taking place just here in the immediate area, but also down south, reaching from Hardinsburg all the way back through Spencer County and off to the east, moving into Franklin County, and now moving into the Lexington area as well, as it's moving into Fayette County. Tom has a look at that.
Those. Craig will still keep doing the pointing and talking, but we want to again emphasize to the Indiana viewers, everything's all clear in Indiana. The threat of any severe weather for Indiana is gone.
Right.
That line you're seeing, Craig just pointed out, is where it's going. So let me let's start from west to east and go through them all here, Craig.
Okay, and so heading from the west out to, well, you can see that line just kind of formed over Owensboro. Actually, Owensboro got through this with relative little damage because the storms haven't been there. North of that in Tell City, we've had some pretty good storms that have passed now down to the south, making their way into Hardinsburg and into Breckenridge County, and gradually making their way through Meade County as well.
Yeah, this cell right here now going
that
toward...
That particular one, yeah, just to the northeast of
E-Town.
Hardinsburg is moving into western Hardin County. Now, that was a tornado warning that was issued earlier. I hear another warning coming in back in the
now closer to home. Bullitt County again.
Bullitt County, of course, we've had the heavy storms that have moved into the northern sections there. We're still seeing some pretty hefty returns. That's a severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect for Bullitt County for the next few minutes. Okay, and that we were just talking about Fayette County. Now they have a tornado warning in effect for Fayette County. That's that same cell. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. That's moving out of Franklin and Woodford area. Okay, and then back to eastern Jefferson County. Of course, it's passed through our area down into Spencer County, into Shelby County. Then it breaks up a little bit going into the Frankfort area in Franklin County. And now the cell you're looking at right there, moving into the northern sections of Woodford County and now beginning to make its way into Fayette County.
Late report here at 8:25, tornado reported on the ground near Mortonsville in Woodford County. Mortonsville, Woodford County, moving to the east, southeast, about 25 miles an hour. Should clear out of Woodford County by 9. Next county in line would be
Fayette and
County
Jessamine County.
Yeah.
Northern Jessamine County, a tornado warning now in effect as well. This tornado reported on the ground near Mortonsville, 5 to 10 miles west of Lexington, moving east at 25 miles per hour, and will reach Lexington at 8:45. As we head to the north, we're going to take a look at some of the storms. We've had a couple of warnings issued for Carroll County, now just in the eastern sections of Carroll County into Trimble County. It looks like those are beginning to break up. We had a flash flood warning issued for, what was that, Ripley County it came in for, Tom?
Ripley County, Indiana.
So we know we've got some heavy rain that has fallen in that area, and off to the north in Boone and Kenton County. We've got some heavy thunderstorms up just south of the Cincinnati area as well. Back in our area once again, you can see that most of the rain has moved out of Jefferson County and continues advancing off to the east. Once again, though, the warnings that we do have in effect, and let me check, some of these are beginning to expire.
Do we have any word on,
which one?
I know it's been hard to keep track, but how many tornadoes we've had this evening? I think we're talking at least 7 or 8.
Well, of course,
possibly
again,
more.
It'll take probably the light of day to get actual true confirmation of these, so we really don't know. But you're right, in terms of number of reports, there have been numerous reports. The first supercell that came through Harrison County had at least 4 or 5 of its own.
Yeah, there's at least 4 or 5 tornadoes there, and which is continuing to produce the tornadoes over in the Lexington area now.
Right.
So.
Woodford County,
and
that's right.
And then some downstate, the radar sightings. Now we've had no, the Hardinsburg area, we've had no report of a tornado on the ground with that one, have we?
Let's see, that one was indicated by radar and was moving toward Hardinsburg. Let's see, that warning, by the way, will expire in about 10 minutes for Breckenridge County.
Now,
so that was radar.
And we do want to mention for the folks tuning in again, we apologize. We've got the ball game coming up at 9 o'clock. We are going to be going to the ball game. We've had major damage in the metro area from a tornado this evening, northern Bullitt County, and we're still checking some reports in extreme southern Jefferson County. We are going to have some live reports. We had to bring the antennas down because of the lightning storm down there. They will be back up on the air. Stay with us. This is coming up within a few minutes. Then we'll be able to show you some of the damage. We've been taking phone calls, people describing what it's like there, and it sounds very serious, Jackie.
One of our truck operators who's getting a truck in the area was stopped by a police officer, and apparently there are so many people coming in to sightsee that it is a tremendous problem, which is a real...
And we had mentioned that, a couple of times. Okay, we got a new warning coming in. They'll check on that. And you're right, because we're talking possible rescues. There are a number of homes hit going through the rubble. We need every crew in there that we can get.
Severe thunderstorm warning for Washington County, Franklin County,
in just a second
Anderson County,
but please, I mean, you're going to have people who are going to do that. They're going to go sightsee.
But
you
it
know,
blocks up traffic.
Yeah, if they could just wait a day or two, if you're going to want to go see what it looks like, because right now is the time that we do need the fire departments and the ambulances in that area there, anywhere from Brooks over to Mount Washington.
Is the worst over now that these storms have generally, I mean, it's not...
Yeah, for the metro area. Here, let's go right back to the radar here. Again, here's Jefferson County, and the storms are now past Shepherdsville, hitting Taylorsville, still storming in the Shelbyville area. But again, it's clearing out. You know, again, Louisville and Jefferson County, we are in the clear Washington. Now. Again, we are going to stay here for about another 20 minutes or so until the ball game starts. You will not miss more. Okay.
This is a thunderstorm warning.
Okay, go ahead and take it there, Craig.
Okay, it's for Washington, Franklin, Anderson, and Nelson counties until 9:15. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for Washington, Franklin, Anderson, and Nelson County, especially the northern section of Nelson County, until 9:15. And once again, you can take a look at that on the radar, that what we've been watching coming out of Hardin County and making its way to the east will be moving just to the north of Bardstown.
Yeah, and we're beginning reports of some very gusty winds along that. Wanted to mention this, then Tom, if you give us a review again on the radar here. Oh, we'll go to Jack just a second, but and I know this is getting on the edge of our viewing area, but you know the wave signal covers a large chunk of Kentucky. We have people statewide tuned into our coverage tonight, and for those of you in Woodford County, the fire department did report just about 7 minutes ago a tornado on the ground at Highway 33 and 169 in Woodford County. So again, and this is Lexington area, Lexington, for anybody in that area watching us here in our tornado warning. Jackie?
All right, John, we've got more live pictures from one of the hardest hit areas. Eric Olson is one of our producers with WAVE3. Eric, you're back live with us. What can you tell us?
Well, Jackie, we're along Brook Road, as we've been telling you all night, which is just off of I-75 in northern Bullitt County. Jimmy, let's go over here, and you can just take a look at how strong these winds were. This is a sign, and look at down here how it's twisted, which would lead us to believe, as witnesses have told us, that a tornado definitely came through here. And then if you kind of walk back out this way, this is a Federal Express truck. We're just outside of the Arby's restaurant along Brook Road off of I-65 in Bullitt County. This is a Federal Express truck that was parked here just moments before the storm hit and ended up on its side here with some wood chunks inside of it. The roof of the truck is blown out, and then back here is another car that was parked alongside of it that also flipped over. These wood chunks, I would believe, came from a hotel that they're building back behind us a little bit to the west, and so there was a lot of loose boards over that area that blew over this way. We want to bring in the owner of the car over here. Mike Hibbard, tell us a little bit about what you saw during this storm.
Well, we were coming down, my son and I were coming down Blue Lick Road here, and he looked off to the side, off to his right there, and he could see a funnel cloud coming right over Brooks Hill there. And we immediately knew we knew it was in for some trouble there. And so we pulled in here. This FedEx truck pulled in just in front of us. We pulled in next to it, and there was probably about 20 people that were inside the walk-in freezer in the new Arby's here, and that was it was good. It was safe in there, and it rattled that pretty good. When you got done, you could tell you'd been in one. And when I come outside, then of course their truck was turned over. My car was parked over here.
Okay, so your car was over this way.
It moved about 4 car lengths. It just picked it up and flipped it on its side, up on its roof, and parked it right there.
Were you able to see any of that or hear any of that inside?
We were in a walk-in cooler. We had the door open just a little bit where we could see out and watch the drive-up windows as they opened and closed, and we got a pretty good idea of what was going on outside when it was passed. So, but other than that, you know, it's a scary experience.
Okay, thanks, Mike. We appreciate it. Hopefully everything will work out with your car here. As you can see back here, just as he said, flipped about 4 car lengths over the top of this Federal Express truck. A tow truck's over here now as they try to clean up the mess a little bit, but he's also going to have to get around a light pole over here, which has been blown down. Jackie, the magnitude of the damage over here is just amazing.
Eric, you know, you're at the Brooks exit, which is off I-65, and it looks like, or is that another road? Is that the exit itself? I see an EMS vehicle there. Any injuries at your location at that Arby's?
Okay, from what we understand, nobody at the Arby's was injured. And just to kind of clarify, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but from where we are in terms of off of the exit, we're on kind of a frontage road. Brook comes down to a T to the west, and it's actually Highway 1526 where this Arby's is located, right on the corner of Brook and Highway 1526.
That's at Zonton, I believe.
Right, and so As far as injuries, again, very sketchy. We're going to try to make our way over to the command post that they've set up over in Hillview to try to find out some more on that. But from what we understand from talking to everybody, basically real lucky here, just cuts and scrapes, some flying glass. That was really the main part of the damage.
Looks like right now from the pictures that we are seeing, a lot of folks just assessing the damage, trying to think about cleaning it up. Did you ever find out what happened to that FedEx driver?
We saw some FedEx folks around here, and he's okay. So he was inside the Arby's apparently at the time. Most of the folks who were around in the area ran into the Arby's and got inside the refrigerator back there. It's a walk-in refrigerator, so it's real sturdy. And they were able to close themselves inside the refrigerator. I'm sure they were a little cold, but it was a lot better than the alternative.
A little cold and a little scared, I imagine. You mentioned that there were some semis flipped over on your way to that exit off I-65. Were those along the interstate?
Those were along the interstate, and we did see some EMS units heading away from that scene. So we're not sure, obviously, the extent of the injuries, but we believe that maybe those truck drivers have some injuries.
All right, Eric, I know there's a lot going on there and that you need to move on to the Hillview command post. We're trying to get reports in from that area. We have another crew on the scene, and hopefully now that this second storm has passed, we will be hearing from them again shortly. Eric Olson, one of our producers here at WAVE3, thank you for that live report. I think hopefully the worst of the storm is out of the air. Craig Edwards is here with an update.
Yeah, Jackie, I want to go ahead and recap a couple of warnings that we still have going on right now for Anderson County, Franklin County, Nelson County, and Washington County. Severe thunderstorm warning still in effect. Some of the cities we're talking about included in this line of storms as they're making their way to the east. Frankfort in Franklin County, Lawrenceburg, Bardstown down in Nelson County, and then off to the east in Washington County, we're talking about Springfield. And this is still the line of storms that we're talking about, advancing to the east. It's moving at about 25 to 35 miles per hour, so advancing onto the east. Right now, severe thunderstorm warnings for this area as this line continues to advance to the east. Also, Bullitt County, Hardin County, and Spencer County still under warnings as well until 9 o'clock tonight for the line of thunderstorms making their way through. And this is that same line we're talking about, just in different areas there. And to recap what John was passing on to us a few minutes ago, the fire department in Woodford County at Highway 33 and 169 reported a tornado on the ground in that area. And once again, that's from the same supercell that created the damage you saw a few moments ago coming in from Bullitt County in the southern part of Jefferson County as that storm made its way to the east as well. So that kind of brings you up to date on the warnings. And once again, keep an eye on the banner at the top of the screen there. For those of you in the affected areas, you'll see the warnings come up right there on the screen.
And for our Halo operators, we'll be able to, a couple minutes, we'll be able to clear this Breckenridge County warning there. Craig, a couple things here. We've got the ball game coming up here at 9 o'clock, NBA playoff game. So we're going to be joining that at 9. All right, we're going to keep it here to the top of the hour. We've got a live report from Mount Washington coming in just a second. You just saw the report from Brooks with Eric. Jackie's got another live report, I believe, with Connie coming in. Is it ready yet or not quite? They're setting it up.
Pretty close.
Okay, they're setting up. We're going to have in just a second there. And also, we need to mention we don't need any sightseers going down to check out the damage. All right, let the emergency crews do their work. Every minute counts at this point until we get each and every person accounted for that was hit by this storm. But evidently a fairly strong tornado did go through that area. Jackie?
I just got a report, again, because of sightseers, LG&E can't even get their crews in. So if you want your power back on, folks need to stay off the road.
That or you might have some live lines bouncing around there. That are still a threat for people. Okay, I see Connie. She's about ready there.
Let's see if Connie Leonard, she is live in the Mount Washington area. Connie, can you hear us? Tell us what it's like there.
Jackie, we certainly can hear you. You can take a look behind me right now. We're at the Schmidt Funeral Home right in front of the Northfield subdivision. You can see the damage to the Schmidt Funeral Home. The person who owns this funeral home says this is little damage compared to what we see back behind us here. If we can take a look directly behind the funeral home, you can see the homes that are damaged in the Northfield subdivision. Incredible damage back there. Some of the homes were absolutely wiped out. Many of the families have come here to the funeral home to seek refuge and get some shelter. Right now, we're going to talk with one of the people that was living in some of the homes back here, one of the residents. Sir, you were involved in the storm. Tell us what you saw, what you heard, what was going on.
Well, what originally happened, we was over at the Little League field and they had the sirens go off, so they canceled the ball game, and we all ran over here and got in the house, and we seen, it looked like smoke. The clouds looked like smoke that was kind of split apart. And the wind started rustling up, so we got back in the hallway bathroom like everybody always tells you to get in the hallway bathroom. And that's the only part of the house that is in good shape is the hallway bathroom. But it was an incredible sound. It was a whistling sound, sounded like a train, you know, coming through the house. Speakers and TVs thrown up against the walls, things are breaking. And, you know, only thing I can imagine, you know, I know they're only supposed to last like 45 seconds, so I was, you know, holding the kids, and we had pillows over their head and praying. I don't do a lot of praying, but I was sure doing a lot of praying then.
And your wife, I know she was upset just a second ago. The kids were upset also. How did you keep them together?
Well, like I said, they was buried underneath the pillows, and what was the worst thing about it, they had just seen the movie Twister, my teenage son. We had seen it, you know, a couple weeks ago on his birthday, and they were just in hysterics, and all they wanted after they leave was to get their babies out of the house. They had some little babies they were holding on to, so we get out of the house as soon as possible.
We're looking at some tape right now of the subdivision that we shot just a little while ago. Tell us, right after you guys realized you were okay, you went out and you knocked on doors. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I grabbed a flashlight and we ran up and down the street knocking on people's doors, and everybody was doing the same thing. It's amazing that nobody got hurt. You'd have to walk up Beach Street to actually see the damage, because this don't tell the story. This is just a little bit here. But if you go up Beach Street, there's no way possible you think that somebody lived through that. And almost everybody was home. That's what's really amazing about it. I'd say a few people's got basements. They was in basements and everything, but my garage is wiped out. People's behind us, he had a 6-car garage, completely gone, lawnmowers. You can't find anything that you used to have, and I just, you know, like I said, just thank God that my kids are okay and the family's okay. We can rebuild the house, and we'll definitely put a basement in, you know, next time, so we'll have somewhere to go. And
you said, as far as you know, I know some of the officials here have told us just minor injuries. How were people when you got to them? What was their reaction?
They was, you know, they was pretty calm. I mean, most of them, this is mostly elderly people that live in the subdivision. We have a lot of retirees, and I'm sure they've been through a lot of things, but nobody's been through something like this. But I think everybody was concerned about helping each other out, not worried about being hysterical. Us and the people behind us, we got 3 kids, they got 3, and beside that, there's not a lot of kids in the neighborhood. So it was amazing how everybody was knocking through doors. My cousin lives up the street. I ran up the street, and his 2 kids was home by themselves, and we was banging on the window, and they started screaming. So, you know, I can imagine them being home by themselves, being, you know, 12 years old, and the parents not being at home, and I'm sure they're okay, but I don't know where they're at now. We was trying to find their family, but like I said, they are my cousins, so we ran up there, and they were screaming and hollering, and it was amazing that they lived through it, and, you know, maybe it affected them later on, I don't know.
You said you didn't have a basement. No, you're thinking very seriously about building one the next time.
We could work it out. We will definitely build a basement next time, and we'll never take any storm warning lightly anymore like I have in the past. And I was watching it through the bay window as it was twirling, thinking that, you know, it won't happen, it won't happen. And as it started whistling, it was funny because you can hear the whistling outside, and we all ran in the bathroom and shut the door, and that was definitely the best place to be.
Well, thank you very much. Good luck to you. Thanks for talking with us tonight. Again, you just heard it. Residents are very shaken up right now. Many of them couldn't talk to us, very upset, crying, trying to comfort their own children. Again, we'll be talking to many of these folks tonight. You can just see the incredible damage here in Mount Washington, and we'll keep bringing you this information to you throughout the evening, Jackie.
Connie, we saw those live pictures behind you just then, and also the pictures that you took before you made your live shot, and that is the Northfield subdivision in Mount Washington. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's right off of Highway 44. And again, folks that are trying to come over here, trying to find out if their family members are okay, it's going to be a bit of a wait because traffic is still stalled. Not as bad as it was about 15 minutes ago, but there appears to still be quite a traffic jam.
Okay, Connie Leonard, thanks for that live report from Mount Washington. Let's go back to the meteorologist for an update.
Okay, Jackie, this just came out. This is a new tornado warning for Anderson County. And this is probably the 3rd tornado warning they've had in Anderson County. Glensboro, that's an extreme western Anderson County. Lawrenceburg is about right here. Craig, zoom me in on this here on the Doppler here.
Okay.
We've got this line of thunderstorms, and there's a line of severe storms. Again, here's Jefferson County. You can see we're in the all clear. And again, for the folks operating the halo at the top of the screen here, Anderson County, this includes Lawrenceburg, and this is in effect until 9:30. Okay, here's Spencer County, here's Anderson County. Radar indicating a tornado forming in the Glensboro area, and is expected to hit Lawrenceburg and then McBrayer between 9 and 9:15. So again, take cover. Anderson County, you're under a tornado warning until 9:30 this evening. Radar indicating a tornado. We'll get back to Jackie. Let's see. Let me see if she's ready here. Craig, tell you what. Wait, hang on here. Do you have some more information to pass along for us here?
Where we're checking it out, we've got a crew up in southern Indiana where we've had a report that we're checking out about an ultralight that may have been down. But with these kinds of storms, you don't know, and there's so much going on that we want to check it out.
As far as the tornadoes in Indiana, we had the first report in Harrison County. I had no damage reports on that. We had unconfirmed touchdown in Floyd County at Georgetown, and the folks in Floyd County tracked that. We had a lot of calls in Floyd County, but no touchdowns. And then again, here in Jefferson County, no confirmed touchdowns, but several funnel cloud reports in Jefferson County.
And obviously a lot of damage in northern Bullitt County.
Yeah, that's the worst right there. Craig, tell you what, give us a wrap up. What's happening outside the metro area here around the state? What's the latest here for us?
Well, we still have a couple of other tornadoes to talk about, John, too, even down south, right along the Tennessee border in Monroe County. Warning continues in that area right now, so those of you near Glasgow, the storm right there has produced a tornado. It was reported on the ground in Barron County earlier. The dangerous part of that, of course, is the fact that this is a big recreation area down here as well, and so these storms are advancing off to the east into those areas. You can see the trailing line now. This is the line of storms, and actually the good news is behind this line everything calms down very rapidly. So southern Indiana now clear, and it looks like the Jefferson County, Kentucky area clear as well, and the line dropping on down to the south, now making its way to the east. The warnings that we have in effect now affecting very central parts of Kentucky and back down to the southwest. We have had a warning in effect for Breckinridge County for a tornado there as well. We have had no reports of damage in that area, not a confirmed siren.
Yeah, that expired at quarter till.
Right, so those have started to come to a close, but still some very intense thunderstorms moving through parts of Breckinridge down into Grayson and also into Hardin County, John.
Okay, again, we've got a ball game coming up, Seattle, Utah, in just a few minutes. We are going to be joining that game, and we're going to continue to follow those tornadoes here until then. Again, they're out of the metro area now, but we do have a possible tornado. Radar indicates possible tornado moving in on Lawrenceburg. Right here is Lawrenceburg. Here's Anderson County. See, you're southeast of Shelby County. So that's the closest storm that is of major concern to us. We've got this whole line here. Craig, let's go back to you. Again, we'll follow this whole line, a number of counties under severe thunderstorm. Or Jackie, do you have something new for us?
No, we're waiting on our live crews who are getting ready to bring us a report from the Mount Washington area.
Okay, we're going to try to get that one more report in before the top of the hour. In the meantime, Craig...
yeah, let me just go ahead and
give me another report on that line there.
The warnings that we have in effect currently reaching from the areas in Anderson County where tornado warning is in effect. Back down to, let's see, into Washington County, Nelson County. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings now in effect. Back into Hardin County, severe thunderstorm warning in effect. And let's see, who am I leaving out here? I think Spencer County I didn't mention. Also a severe thunderstorm warning in effect there too. So once again, the line we're talking about reaching from near Frankfort all the way back around and reaching to Hardinsburg. That entire line, anyone on that line, chances are you're under a warning at this point, with the exception being Jefferson County. The southern sections of Bullitt County still under the gun right now.
Here's a report out of Breckinridge County, because we have not heard much. A report of several roofs blown off buildings and a log cabin was destroyed by the storm in Breckinridge County. I don't have an exact location on a community. It just says right here, just says Breckinridge County at this point. So how close are we to getting this live report from Mount Washington? Any word yet? Because we have about 4 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, because
I think we're going to...
We're not quite ready yet on that. Okay, I see Connie there. Hang on, folks. Live TV here.
All right, I think we've got Mark Pettinger, who is also in Mount Washington. He is one of our latest reporters on the scene. Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now, Jackie.
Tell us where you are and what you've seen.
Well, we are at on Preston Highway, just near Pioneer Village. With us is Hillview Police Officer Rich Harden, who can sort of describe the scene and the tornadoes that he saw a little earlier this evening. Rich, you say you saw one in the sky, and give us a description of what you saw and what you did.
Well, sir, it started on Oxford Court. I really couldn't tell you the time. It was kind of all kind of cloudy right now, but there was two tornadoes that come down Summit Drive here. Okay, one followed me on my left side all the way down Summit. I turned and went left to Zolton and 61 down here. That tornado went back into the air and missed the trailer park, luckily. The other tornado came right here across the We Stored area into Pioneer Village and back Zolton Road. I'm not sure the damage on Zolton Road. I heard it was rather extensive.
But as we look around us now, I see behind us the 84 lumber sign is down, and it looks like across the way a roof has been lifted off of a house over there.
Yes, sir. Like I said, the second one came right down through there, and the other one, the one that was following me, come right through this field right here.
The biggest problem you have in this area right now, down power lines.
Down power lines, yes, sir. All down this road right now. As you can see, all these people walking down the road right here. We have down power lines on the left. These people are walking in water. They're great conductors of electricity right now. We have enough people that are injured as it is. We don't need any more. We've got a lot of sightseers, and we just don't need that problem right now.
I've seen a lot of emergency vehicle traffic, including some ambulances. Are people, they still transporting the injured?
Yes, sir. As far as I know, if there's any EMTs, paramedics, nurses that would come out here and assist us, if they would come to the Zolton Firehouse, it's right up here on the left past the Little Flock Baptist Church, we'd really appreciate it. We could use their assistance.
Right now, we're at the cross of Preston and what's the street right here? Summit right here. So you're trying to keep people out of this area, but you've got some residents, obviously, that are trying to check damage or on loved ones.
Loved ones, damage, family.
Mark, what kind of injuries is he talking
they're
about?
concerned. I can't really stop them from going down there. I'm just trying to warn them of the dangers.
You know, Jackie Hayes is asked. Jackie, can you ask that question again?
Absolutely. What kind of injuries is he talking about? Are they serious injuries? And generally, what area is he talking about?
Officer Harden, do you have any knowledge as to the extent of the injuries or where they took place or what?
No, sir. Right now, there is no estimate injuries. There's no. The information is really scarce at my area right here as far as how many people are hurt or how much property damage we have. We're looking into it. We've got crews that are stationing medical emergency sites for us. We've got a command post at 298 Prairie Drive. If anybody needs any assistance, they could come there and help us.
Okay, let's maybe go over a couple things. Do you have a triage point then where some of the wounded or the injured are being taken before being transported to any local hospital?
Right now, as far as I know, sir, everyone is going to the Zolton Firehouse. That's nurses and things like that, and they're dispatching them out to the areas to help people. And then as they can get them out, I would assume they're taking them back there because that's the way we've got cleared.
Okay. Obviously, another problem is we were just talking. You've got loved ones that want to find out about their relatives and friends. I had a couple stop me on the way in. Is there a number, is there a non-emergency number they can call or someplace they can call to check on that and to avoid some of the traffic coming down here?
Right now, sir, the only number that I could probably give them would be the command post City Hall. It's 957-5280.
Okay, 957-5280.
5280. Yes, sir. You probably won't be able to get through the lines. I'm sure they're all tied up, but they would know more about what's going on.
That's the place, though, that people should check and not try and come down here.
Right. If you could, we'd like them to stay out of the area as long as possible. We don't know how long this road's going to be down and how much damage is actually on back in there.
Particularly since we've got about maybe half an hour, 45 minutes before dark.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Officer Richard, thanks very much for your time with the Hillview Police Department. Jackie, I don't know if, as he's standing by here, if you or Alan have any other questions I can ask Officer Harden. I'll stand by, or else we can try and wrap things up and I can describe what else is going on out here.
Okay, Mark, we thank you for that report. I think it's just frightening that the folks are walking through water where there are down power lines in the area, and it doesn't make any sense. We appreciate that report. Right now, let's go to Connie Leonard. She is live in the Mount Washington area near the Northfield subdivision. Connie, what can you tell us?
Jackie, that's right off Highway 44 in Mount Washington. Again, in front of the Northfield subdivision. You can take a look just behind me here at the destruction. The residents are trying to take it in all right now. You can see folks walking around. They're trying to go around and see what is left. Some families have lost everything. We just talked to a fellow a few minutes ago who told us that his house was basically blown away. A lot of the folks have come to the Schmidt Funeral Home right in front of the Northfield subdivision. We want to go and talk to Mark and Pam Schmidt and also Henry Robinson, a neighbor who lives close by. You all live here and you were lucky enough to have a basement, but you saw what was going on. Tell us about it, Pam.
Well, that's correct. We do have a basement here, and I asked my husband when we were building the funeral home to put a basement in just for tornadoes, because I was here earlier when all the tornadoes happened. And my husband, I helped get some elderly couples out of the garden homes. We were in the basement, and my husband was actually watching the tornado. I saw some of it coming, and then I ran down to help the neighbors. And then Mark saw the tornado.
Mark, tell us what it was like, what you saw. And you had quite a bit of damage here to the funeral home, but you said yourself not as bad as a lot of these folks suffered.
Yeah, we were really lucky. all I saw was just the cloud patterns blowing every which way, and then it just dropped and it just started coming right at us. It looked to me, and that's when we got to the basement and just tried to get some safe coverage anywhere we could. And, we tried to get as many people in that we could and try to help anybody that we could. And it's devastating. I mean, you look around and you see what's happened, and people have lost everything like you said, but this community's pulling together, and we're going to bounce back.
How are the folks holding up? I saw a lot of folks crying, kids very upset. What are you and the other fire officials and police trying to reassure them? How are they doing?
And when you go through something like this, I mean, it's always going to scare you to death. And you just, like Pam told me earlier, we're all here in one piece, and that's all that really matters. So things like this can be replaced. Lives can't, and that's what really matters.
Well, I'm sure the folks appreciate you opening up the funeral home. Henry, you also saw the storm coming. Tell us from your perspective what it was like. You saw folks scattering to get to shelter.
We live a few blocks over in this direction, and we were looking out our window. We got down in our basement. It's a partial basement, really, a fire level. And we were looking out, and we could see it was really dark over here. And so we knew to stay in the basement. And then, the wind came incredible. Amount of wind. I could look and see that this wasn't anything normal. And then after it cleared over, I stepped outside and I saw I'd lost a tree and a little bit of some shingle damage, nothing serious. And some neighbors had car damage from trees, but then someone came running down and said that the funeral home had been hit, had been demolished. And I came running down to see how Mark and Pam, and then also I have some friends that live up at the top of the hill, and I was concerned about them because they're elderly, and one of them had recently bypassed surgery. So I ran up to see them, and their home was totally gone. They said they got into the bathroom. They were okay. And if any relatives, Jesse and Anna Thompson, they're doing fine. But they got into the bathroom. They didn't have a storm cellar. And they said they heard the furniture just banging around and everything, and the bathroom was the only thing left. And they were just lucky to get alive. And like Mark said, we'll bounce back from this. It's kind of stunning right now and sort of in a state of shock. But I don't think the camera can fully bring in. The worst of it's over at the top of that hill. And y'all can't get back there, of course, but it's pretty bad.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Henry. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Schmidt, for talking to us. Again, Jackie, the folks out here are just devastated. They're very upset right now and trying to see what they have left. Again, people that are coming out to this area to check things out need to be very careful because there are live wires out down here. Also, to the injuries, there are minor injuries from what we understand, but we have not gotten the official word on that right now. We know several ambulances left the subdivision, and many folks who were going house to house, the neighbors trying to see if everyone were okay, said that most of the folks that they saw only suffered minor injuries from what they saw. Again, we're not sure. We don't have the official word at this time, but from what we know, it seems that all the people here are okay. But again, as you can see behind me, the houses are just destroyed, many totally destroyed, and many damaged, roofs blown off, and many folks are walking around with their dogs and their children in their arms, very happy to be alive right now.
Absolutely. All right, Connie, thanks for that live report. We have gotten a report from the Hillview Police. They are asking for doctors and maybe emergency workers who might not be busy at this moment to come and help them out. They are asking for, this is again from Hillview Police, asking for emergency personnel, doctors, nurses who might be able to help to report to the North Bullitt High School and also to the Little Flock Baptist Church. Apparently there are some injuries. We don't know how serious these injuries are. Apparently a lot of glass, flying glass, a lot of cuts and abrasions and things that need to be sewn up. Let's check in with John Belsky one more time before we go to the ball game.
Yeah, the ball game is starting in just a minute, but again, reports out of Hillview, some homes flattened, very concerned about some of the things we're hearing out of there. Lawrenceburg in Anderson County, about 8:20 this evening, we had a report that a 100-yard wide tornado went right through Lawrenceburg. We cannot get through by phone. I don't have any more reports than that, but evidently there could be major damage in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. and they are under another tornado warning at this point, a new storm moving in. Craig, what's the latest on that?
Well, John, right now on radar we're showing, this is Anderson County right here, we're showing the heavy return showing up. We're also getting some very gusty winds showing up and turbulence just down to the south. This is continuing to advance to the east. Let me go to the wider radar view. This is the next rad radar, give you a view of what's going on there. Once again, we're talking about this entire line making its way to the east. The warning is still in effect for Anderson County, and this is for a second tornado coming into that area, so we're still watching that. And John, as we speak, I hear another warning coming in, so we'll check on that and get back to you with the latest on what's happening out there right now.
If it's something we need to pass along, go right ahead. Okay, Jackie?
Okay, right now, John, we have on the line with us Louisville Fire Chief Corso on the line. What can you tell us?
Well, mostly what we're running into in the city is predominantly wires down. I've got a number of runs out of some trees on houses. I haven't gotten a specific breakdown of the damage yet, because I still have units out on the streets, mostly in the Highlands area. There is one problem we're running into, and that's people wanting to kayak and canoe in the park. And it's a very, very dangerous situation. All the bridges are not at the same height. And people that start out thinking it's fine end up having it not be so fine.
Chief, what kind of damage reports are you getting from various parts of Jefferson County? I don't know if you're picking up anything from Bullitt County, but what have you heard?
No, outside of Louisville, I get very limited reports. I've got some units out there to offer any assistance we can for them. But at this point, they've informed me that they have enough resources on hand. It's just a matter of getting them managed and getting them allocated properly. I mean, obviously, we're in a position to send either med units or fire units there if we need to.
So your advice to folks in the Louisville area in particular would be tonight?
Well, certainly stay out of the parks. The parks are going to flood. Water is coming up on the roads now, and I'm meeting with the police commanders now, and we've issued some stern warnings already, and that we are not going to allow kayaking in the parks.
Absolutely. Chief Corso, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to wrap things up now. We appreciate you staying with us. Of course, Wave 3. John, you have something?
I was just say, I think we need to mention this one more time here, and again, we're going to have some updates during the game,
right,
and also at halftime. But again, the Hillview Police about the emergency personnel, including nurses, they're asking them to report to North Bullitt High School or the Little Flock Baptist Church, and then they'll deploy doctors and nurses from that location. Evidently, very, very serious situation.
And the damage is very widespread through the Mount Washington area and Pioneer Village.
And
we just were told that they have enough medical help at this time.
Okay.
Again, the traffic in the area, as you can imagine, is congested. People trying to check on their loved ones. Maybe some people trying to sightsee, but again, if there are power lines down in the area, it's not a safe place to be, so we urge you to stay out of the area. We appreciate you staying with us. Of course, Wave 3 News will continue to cover this very major story. We'll bring you updates throughout the ball game again at halftime, and we will have an expanded version of Wave 3 News Nightcast after the game. We appreciate you staying with us. We now go to NBC.
Department where they have a command center, and they do not know exactly how many people they'll need to transport to Louisville at this time.
You know, one thing that is interesting, and that is that the emergency vehicles seem to be all halted outside the subdivision, as the gentleman indicated to us from the rescue service not long ago. It is probable at this time that that the work crews, the rescue crews, are securing the subdivision to make sure it's safe to travel in, that they don't wander into a down power line or ignite a gas line that might be erupting. So there you can see, and as a matter of fact, it looks like maybe a tree or something is blocking the entrance to the subdivision there. There's something else across the road. And it looks like the access to the subdivisions is at least blocked, and it's very difficult to get to these areas that have been damaged.
And I was just handed a reminder to anyone out there. I'm sure you don't have power if you live in this area, but anyone who's going into that area, there are many downed lines. Assume they are hot. We do have someone on the telephone, Donna Green.
Donna.
Who evidently saw the tornado as it formed and came down. Donna, where are you?
Well, I live on top of Brooks Hill here in northern Bullitt County, and I was on my way home from what we call the lower level with my two grandchildren in the van. Just as we got to the BP station, we saw the swirling clouds, and I pointed them out to my grandchildren. Then, to put it bluntly, all hell broke loose.
What happened?
Well, trees started bending over, then they started snapping, and the van just, it was getting impossible to hold it in the road. So I got through the four-way stop at the foot of Brooks Hill to dear neighbor's house, and I just pulled in his driveway. We hit his basement and watched the rest of it through his basement windows.
Were you in a house that was damaged?
I believe he suffered some damage. I don't know. It took me forever to get up the hill to get to my own home.
Now, how far is that from Tanyard Springs subdivision that we've seen a lot of the destruction?
Well, that is on the west, or the Tanyard Springs is on the east side of 65. We're on the west side, about 2 miles.
All right.
Okay, so you actually have damage then in an area that we have not flown over yet. We've been from Tanyard to Mount Washington, but you're telling us about a new area.
Yes, from Brooks Hill Road all the way down. There are houses damaged, furniture everywhere. There was one injury. We had to make way for an ambulance to get in. Down on Schoolhouse Road. There is not a tree, I don't think, that has been damaged, but for the grace of God, I would have been in the middle of it.
Well, we are thankful for that, and we appreciate you calling us. Now, keep in mind that what you're looking at now is it's getting dark out there, the Tanyard Springs subdivision in that area, and Donna was across Interstate 65 where we had tractor-trailer rigs overturned, and then she was 2 miles. I guess that would be to the west of that.
No, that's where I live. I was in the heart of it.
You were in the heart of it, however,
yes.
in Tanyard Springs. And there you see, I believe, a car, maybe this is a garage, a car in the middle of some of just
It
absolutely
looks like,
demolished
I'm just wondering
building.
if there's a light appears to have come from the back of that truck there. I'm just wondering if that's some sort of rescue vehicle there that is backed up, but it seems like a light shining out of the back of that truck.
See, here we can't see anything that's going on television because we have no power.
We are looking at this may be it's a very large garage if it's a garage. I don't know if this storm was powerful enough to pick up a car and put it in that building.
Looks like there's 2 of them side by side.
Yes, it does appear to be a garage, and it does seem to be possibly an ambulance there.
I think I see a guy with an emergency vest on there, so walking outside. So it was possible that was some kind of rescue underway there. As you can see, the sunlight is beginning to dim, and it's going to be more difficult. Cars now using their lights in the area. The sun is going down, and unfortunately, we wish we had a lot more daylight left because these people are going to need some visibility out there tonight. And now it looks like portable lights to continue this rescue operation in Tanyard Springs. This is a map of where the tornado damage occurred tonight, the path of the tornado damage, and it happened in southern Jefferson County, a particularly hard-hit area over the last month or so, and also northern Bullitt County, sweeping, as you can see, from the Brooks Road exit along I-65 through Tanyard Springs and Pioneer Village, and also some more tornado damage reported in the Taylorsville area, where the Spencer County Courthouse has been now declared a shelter. Let's go to Sky 11 once again.
Obviously, we're going to need a lot of shelters for people tonight. They'll be spending time with family and friends, but we're talking about a huge area in the Tanyard Springs subdivision alone. Sitting here looking at a map, a street map of this area, and you have a dozen or so streets in that subdivision alone. And as you've been hearing George Sells tell us, he's followed just in Sky 11 a path of destruction for at least 7 miles from Mount Washington to the Brooks Road exit, and then you've heard other people talk about it being spread. So we don't know how many houses have been damaged. We know we don't have power in that area. People calling us on the telephone tell us they don't have power in the area. So there will need to be more shelters tonight. We do know we have one in Taylorsville at the courthouse there.
This tornado continues. This storm system continues to cause problems elsewhere in Kentucky, and these areas are not within our viewing area. But you might want to know this if you know people in these areas. Tornado warnings have now been in effect until 10 o'clock tonight in Garrett, Jessamine, and Madison counties, and those are the counties east and south of Lexington, Kentucky, so the storm has advanced that far, but it is still causing not only concern but a great deal of danger, and of course a lot of damage in its wake here in North Bullitt County in the Preston Highway area. We were looking at Preston Highway. It looked like traffic was completely blocked there a while ago, and maybe even on I-65 once again. It looks like you see a few cars now edging into the damaged areas. We're assuming that that may be some sort of police patrol or damage assessment, because access has been blocked because of fears of downed power lines and exposed gas lines and all of the other terrible things that go with tornado damage like this.
I should add that North Bullitt High School also is a shelter tonight for anyone who is looking for shelter, and we will be compiling a list of those shelters that we know about and putting that up on the screen for you. Because we know we have 2 open at this point. I think it's the courthouse in Taylorsville and
yes,
North Bullitt High School.
Well, no, did they also, Little Flock Baptist Church was also a staging area for,
it's a staging area
for EMTs, yes.
For EMTs. Even as we begin to lose our daylight, you can still see the path of destruction that this tornado, maybe more than one, has caused from Sky 11. And I tell you, when we went on the air, when these pictures came up, all we knew about were 2 tractor-trailer rigs overturned, and we saw those, and we had no idea that the extent of the damage was so severe.
Obviously, this is the most severe storm damage that this area has suffered since the '74 tornado. This has always been an area that has, because of that legacy of that storm that cut through the Highlands area of Louisville and elsewhere, because of that legacy, people have always taken storm warnings here very seriously, and that is the reason we bring them to you in a serious manner. And tonight, once again, we see the reason for that. These are the emergency rescue vehicles now in the last throes of sunlight in the Tanyard Springs subdivision, and they will be going in to rescue people that need to be rescued and assess the damage. Right now, it appears that in the loss of light here, the going is rather slow.
A caller says that some of the footage that we're taking from Sky 11, some of the video is of the Meadowbrook subdivision as well. They say that is just south of Tanyard Springs. So we pass this information along. We don't want to scare anyone to think that this may be in your subdivision, but we do want you to know Tanyard Springs subdivision and possibly the Meadowbrook subdivision have been hit. We want to go to Jeff Lifson, who is in our newsroom now with some more information about all of this. Jeff?
All right, thanks, Gary and Melissa. I do have one update from Chief Corso of the Louisville Fire Department. This is back in Jefferson County. We've been focusing on Bullitt County and some of the damage down there, but this is something to keep in mind here back in Jefferson County. Seneca and Cherokee parks are flooding right now, according to the fire department, and people apparently may be trying, but should definitely not be canoeing through this area. It's very dangerous. Flooding there, we've had some flooding throughout this past weekend, mainly in the southern and southwestern parts of the county, Fairdale, Okolona, etc. But apparently now Seneca and Cherokee parks closer over to the east end are flooding, and folks are warned not to be kayaking in that area if they are indeed thinking about that right now. I realize it's kind of ridiculous to think about that, but apparently there are some folks that are giving that a shot. So Chief Corso says, heads up, get out of there. That's dangerous, and some flooding, serious flooding in those two parks on the east end of the county. Gary, Melissa?
All right, thank you very much, Jeff. And as we look at the tremendous storm damage left in the wake of what was at least 1 and possibly 3 tornadoes in North Bullitt County tonight, Beth Andrews rejoins us. And Beth, we're going to look once again at the radar, and we have storm warnings now. There you can see it in the bottom left hand of the screen. Storm warnings now in central Kentucky, and this is one of those storms that pass through but won't go away.
Right, and I just got a call from a woman in LaRue County who said it's just really, really bad where she is. They aren't under a warning at this time, but you could see from the flashing red on our Doppler, flashing pink on our Doppler radar, that they've got very high winds, probably 50, 60 mile an hour wind gusts and lots of hail. So I just want to remind you folks, we didn't forget about you south of us. You still have a heavy line of thunderstorms moving in. No tornado warnings at this time in our viewing area, but we do have severe thunderstorm warnings still for southern Hardin County and Nelson County and Washington County. So we're thinking about you. We're going to keep you updated if anything new comes down. But you folks in LaRue County, you are getting a heavy thunderstorm. So far, no tornado warnings are currently in effect in our viewing area.
We want to tell you that we are keeping these pictures up. These are live now from Sky 11. We've been looking at them going on more than an hour and a half now, and we want to tell you we're going to stick with them. They're getting very grainy because of the loss of light, but we want you to see the devastation here in this Brooks Road I-65 area, Tanyard Springs subdivision. We were told some of this is in the Meadowbrook subdivision, and Sky 11 has followed a path of destruction for about 7 miles on toward Mount Washington. There you see a command post of firefighters and emergency medical personnel. We do not have we don't think, a good estimate of injuries at this point. We know we have 2 people at a local hospital here in Louisville. That was from the overturned tractor trailers from Interstate 65. We do not know the extent of injuries from the houses in this area, in this subdivision.
You're looking at a couple of staging areas now. This is a church in the area that has been used for staging EMTs. And also, a little earlier, you saw fire trucks literally lined up there near the Zonton Fire Department. And that is apparently also a staging area. And one thing that seems to be developing here, and we do not have confirmation of this, is they are poised, ready to enter these subdivisions, but now it appears to be they're sending out like scouting cars to go into the subdivisions to make sure the way is clear, to make sure the roads are safe before they can enter. You can see just a few cars back in the subdivision now that are and they appear to be police vehicles that are patrolling very slowly to see what the damage is and to assess the safety factor as far as the rescue workers are concerned. And as you could probably guess, there is no power in these subdivisions. It's going to be dark as pitch out there in just a little while. And they're going to have to bring in some sort of auxiliary lighting. This is going to be a very long and dangerous night in this portion of Bullitt County that has been ravaged by tornadoes.
Most of our coverage and all of our pictures have been from Sky 11 of the destruction. So it's difficult to get a handle on exactly the area, the name of the area we're looking at. We had been told originally it was Tanyard Springs. Now we're told it's Meadowbrook. So we are very sorry if we do have the wrong subdivision. We're told it's Meadowbrook. Now,
but
at any rate,
it is between I-65 and Pioneer Village. And then a path of destruction which stretched 7 miles south to Mount Washington. So that is our best estimate of where we can tell you the damage is, but we'll continue to assess it and upgrade it as we continue to get reports. You're looking at one area now, and you can see what appears to be left of a home. There were some, it appears to be above-ground swimming pools and so forth there, but these homes were literally the top blown off of them. The interior of the homes exposed, and so now exposed to the chill of the night there.
What we want to pass along now, obviously a lot of people need shelter. A lot of people will be going to relatives tonight. North Bullitt High School is a shelter there in Bullitt County. If you know someone, or maybe someone is at your home who lives in the area, you can go to North Bullitt High School. Also the courthouse in Taylorsville. We do have some damage in Taylorsville, we know. That is another area where you can go, and I'm sure other shelters will be open, and we will get you a complete list of those so you can pass along to someone who may have come to your home, or someone you know needs shelter or will be needing shelter for this night. As Gary said, it's going to be a very, very long, very frustrating and emotional night for a lot of people. There, we've seen this vehicle that may be a camper. We thought maybe it was an emergency vehicle in the beginning, but must have enough light to shine on this area.
Melissa,
and I think
can you
they're
hear me?
assessing the damage. Yes, Doug, go ahead.
Hi, this is Doug Profit again in the newsroom. We've just gotten this word from the Jefferson County Police Department from the spokesperson there, Officer Wendy Evans, who is asking us to pass along from the command post that they do not need doctors and nurses coming to the scene. That is a strong request from them. They do not need doctors and nurses coming to the scene. It's contrary to what you would imagine. They so far are telling us from Jefferson County Police that there are minor injuries. They have no fatals at this moment. People are walking in the middle of the major roads, they also say, and they're very concerned about that. And they are asking people to stay off your cell phones. This is a very interesting problem that has occurred. And we first saw it come to light, believe it or not, during the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs. With so many people using cell phones, it clogged all the cells and you got instant busy tones. That's what's happening in the middle of the storm damage area right now. And cell phones, because as folks as you could imagine, with no telephone service in the area, as we watch the Jefferson County Police helicopter right now, it's big spotlight there down on the area. That's the Jefferson County Police helicopter. The cell phones are a critical source of communication at this moment, and they are being tied up from people that they believe are needlessly using their cell phones. So again, folks, as we watch the security detail and the rescue detail continue down here, police are telling us so far they only have minor injuries. We do have 3 people being treated for injuries now, we are told, at Audubon Hospital in Louisville. That's 3 people there being treated for injuries. The other injuries we've told you about involve those truck drivers who were on I-65 near the Brooks exit earlier. We do not know the details of the 3 people who are at Audubon. But once again, county police do not need doctors or nurses coming to the scene, and they're asking people to stay off cell phones. And now, again, as it gets dark, we really get the true story of the traffic picture, as you can see. People have been watching these pictures on television, and they've been streaming down to that area, but it's really slow going, and people aren't, police aren't going to let you get close. The media, we're not even being allowed to get up close pictures yet of the scene because they still have it as a secure area. So that gives you an indication at home that there's really not going to be much access to you as you come to that area. Gary, Melissa?
All right, thank you very much, Doug. And if those damage estimates hold, if those injury estimates hold, it would be wonderful.
I can only hope and
yes.
pray. I need to add real quickly that we do have a severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for LaRue County and southern Hardin County. A severe thunderstorm is located near E-Town. And is my mic not working? Let me get another mic. I'm sorry. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect now for LaRue and southern Hardin County. A severe thunderstorm is located near E-Town. All that's still moving to the south-southeast, so a severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for LaRue County. If you're in Hart or Greene County, you're in line for the storm.
If we can describe this for you right now, I recognize this scene from before, but this is the Brooks Road exit at I-65, and this overturned truck has been there for about the last hour and a half. Apparently, this was one of the trucks that was blown over as the tornado swept through this area about 2 hours ago. And as you can tell, please stay away from this area if you must travel. It is down to 1 lane on I-65 headed south, as you can see. The traffic heading north is well, 2 lanes and operating a little faster, but apparently there's a lot of gawking going on, so those people are also going much slower. But look at the traffic backed up on I-65 back toward the Jefferson County line. It is just a stupendous traffic jam. So stay out of this area. This is a mess to be avoided. And then, believe it or not, and I don't know why these people would be out in large number, but here's this huge traffic jam also on Brooks Road stretching out west. What these people are doing out in large numbers, I do not know.
I'm sure probably a lot of people are trying to see if their relatives are okay or friends that live in that area, but keep in mind, you know, with this kind of traffic, there's so many emergency vehicles that need to get into that area, and it's going to be very hard for them to maneuver through this kind of traffic. So I know it's hard if you've got friends or relatives in this area and you've been seeing these pictures, because these pictures are absolutely shocking and terrifying. And the best thing for you to do is wait for word, though, because obviously you're not going to be able to get through. You're not going to be able to find out anything by heading that way, and you may, in fact, be hampering emergency officials that need to get through.
This is just one area where we are taking pictures of damage. We want to go now to Bloomfield Road in Spencer County, Kentucky, and talk to Lawrence Smith, who is also covering this storm. Lawrence, what have you got there?
Well, as you said, Melissa, we're on Bloomfield Road, about 2 or 3 miles outside of Taylorsville in Spencer County. We've stopped just short of where the major damage is. The road is blocked by a fire department truck here. We have a couple of people to talk to about the kind of damage we're seeing here in Spencer County. First of all, this is Nathan.
What security measures will be taken here? Certainly, I'm sure that that will be something to be considered by Governor Patton as soon as he gets to look at these pictures that we are broadcasting back and getting word from the emergency personnel who are actually on the scene, who are up close and personal to this damage.
Steve, while they're telling people to stay off the roadways there in Bullitt County, we're seeing a lot of traffic. Can we presume that it's just folks backed up, just trying to get where they were going for hours, possibly?
Well, you can just imagine if you were a parent and you were away for a couple hours shopping in Louisville, and then you hear about your area, your home getting damaged, and people are trying to rush back and trying to, I'm assuming, trying to find out if their loved ones are okay, trying to see if their home's okay, if their vehicles are okay, and you can imagine the panic in the minds of some of these people, and I'm sure that's what's going on right here. And we've got a tremendous backup, and people are just trying to get back to their houses, get back to their communities to find out what's been going on. And right now, it's just something that's probably hindering efforts to assess exactly what has happened and get emergency crews where they're needed.
And because of the timing and when this storm hit, to go along with what Steve was talking about, about 7 o'clock, I'm sure a lot of people were held at bay because the warning started coming out around 5 o'clock, and I would imagine some people at their businesses were held at bay for a while. And now, because of the traffic and the interstate being backed up, people are having trouble getting to their homes.
Yeah. Well, and it just happened at a particular time of day, just after probably dinner time for a lot of people, unlike the tornado that hit the Jefferson County area 22 some years ago. That happened right around when school was letting out, and there certainly was a lot of concern at that time. But I'm sure a lot of the families were together tonight, and maybe that helped that everyone is together and they were able to seek shelter, and hopefully all the emergency warnings that we put out and that other media outlets put out and the sirens in the communities, we hope that all alerted people. And it appears from just what we're hearing, the initial reports, that it must have worked, that there weren't that many injuries.
Yeah, possibly they took heed of those tornado tips and took shelter, and it's amazing to me that there are not severe injuries reported at this hour.
The thing is, and I worked Sunday night, and sometimes you catch a lot of flack for giving all the emergency warnings, but when you look at some of the devastation we've seen this evening, I hope people understand why we do it. And the main thing on our minds is making sure everyone is safe in their homes. And tonight, again, we filled the airways with warnings, and it appears a lot of people heeded those warnings.
Absolutely. We're not Chicken Little here, Kevin. Like you're saying, Steve, we're here for a purpose, and this is just an example of all the damage that can happen with these storms.
Some amazing pictures you're showing us, Steve. I know it's getting dark there, and it's getting hard for you to see, but we are seeing great pictures of the traffic and of the debris, and the homes have been flattened in that area.
As night falls.
Yeah, I tell you what, folks, it's getting so dark out here. I think we're going to probably head on back with the pictures that we have captured here, and then you'll see them throughout the evening.
All right, thank you, Steve. Steve Bergen reporting live from our helicopter high above Bullitt County, where there is major damage in that area.
Absolutely. Pioneer Village, Hillview, Brooks, Mount Washington, all of those areas just severely hit, as those pictures show. And we have ground pictures as well. We have reporters all over the place. We'll take a short break, and we'll come back, and we'll have more of this storm that took us by storm.
We are not too big to think small.
We may not have a lot of injuries here due to this. It is difficult to believe, but we are very hopeful. When you take a look at the video, and at some point we will show you the video that we took during daylight hours. We have lost our light now from Sky 11, and so it's difficult, if not impossible, to pick up live. But here's the videotape that we took earlier of this subdivision between Pioneer Village and Interstate 65 near the Brooks Road exit, and you will see many, many, many houses flattened, others damaged, roofs off, but more than we thought when we first started getting damage reports. More than we thought have been destroyed.
It's hard to imagine when you get the phone reports that, you know, a home's been destroyed. You just don't picture this kind of situation, and this is just...
This astonished us. It shocked us when we saw it the first time. This is in an area just as you saw it passed over north of Bullitt. These are large houses. And this is the command post that was first set up just after the storm occurred, and this was just as Sky 11 arrived on the scene just after 8 o'clock tonight. And as you can tell, usually homes like this will ride out a big storm or a big straight line wind or even a small tornado. These are substantial structures, and they were battered by this storm. And we had reports, one report of 3 funnel clouds, but this one appeared to be either a couple of small persistent ones or one huge twister that swept through the area and caused this kind of splintering of houses in North Bullitt County.
And you heard the woman talking about from Spencer County near Taylorsville that she and her children were far enough away from this line of thunderstorms that they stood on the back porch and watched. Not what we tell you to do, but that is what they did. And they saw 4 small funnel clouds come out of one larger one. So it appears that more than one tornado has gone through these areas, and as we told you earlier, we have tracked at least a 7-mile long path of destruction from the subdivision between Pioneer Village and Interstate 65 onto Mount Washington. And it's difficult to tell from Sky 11 how wide a path of destruction it is, but you can see right there it's at least 2 blocks wide.
We had seen this video before now, so we're describing it to you for the second time, and what we're doing now with Sky 11 is circling the affected area. But after George Sells had circled the area in Sky 11, they then headed south to Mount Washington, and he estimated that the stretch of damage was about 7 miles. That this tornado also passed through a wooded area and splintered trees and then caused considerable damage to some condominiums or apartment buildings in Mount Washington. But you can see here once again the path of destruction and the capricious nature of tornadoes. Some houses being untouched, others have been completely demolished. And once again now we've made that complete spin around the subdivision, and we come back out to the staging area. This is the Zonton Fire Department seen from above, and the emergency vehicles as they just began to arrive there about 8:15.
And we have crews on the ground, of course. You saw Lawrence Smith reporting from outside Taylorsville just a few moments ago. We have several crews on the ground, but simply this is the best video. These are the best pictures to see the kind of damage that we have. The other people on the ground are not being allowed into this area before darkness fell this evening. You could see some lights, some traffic. But for a long period of time after this tornado hit, this entire area was shut down due to live power lines and gas leaks in the area. They wanted to make sure there were no explosions and no one got in there and was electrocuted from these live power lines. So for a long time this area was shut down. We have several crews in this area now who are talking to people who witnessed the storm and who are gathering information. But quite simply, these are pictures. They're very good pictures of a very bad situation, is exactly what they are. And we want to show you what has happened in this area and exactly why so many people are using extreme caution.
One thing you might notice on the video that's interesting is that in a lot of these homes you can see that the interior rooms are okay. That's not the case in all situations, but in some of those you can see that the interior rooms are intact. So If people went to a sheltered area in the inside of the home, they could have been okay, even though this was a devastating tornado. In some cases, the homes are completely demolished, and in that situation, we're just hoping and praying that those folks had basements. But we're very lucky that this didn't hit a mobile home park or somewhere where the homes were less sturdy, because these homes certainly do have places where people could have gone for safety, and we're just hoping and praying that those reports we've had so far of a relatively few injuries and those that have been injured, relatively minor injuries, hope and pray that that holds up as the night goes on and rescue workers really begin to search house by house, because I'm sure that's what they'll have to do is search pretty much house by house to see if anyone is inside.
And we have seen the Jefferson County Police helicopter up. They are flying over the area and shining a light down onto the homes, and I'm sure they want to make sure that no one gets in there who doesn't need to be in there, and also seeing if there is any kind of activity, someone who may have been trapped in the debris of these houses that you can see. You see there on your screen recorded earlier, but we do want to emphasize that darkness has fallen now in this area of Bullitt County, and these are pictures of Sky 11. I think the first ones began coming to us shortly before 8 o'clock this evening, so these are almost 2 hours old. And this is an area between Pioneer Village and Interstate 65.
Melissa, we've just been informed that they southbound 65, which you see here now. This is a live picture from Sky 11 of the interchange between 65 and Brooks Road. Southbound 65 has been shut down completely, and for whatever reason now you can see that it is completely backed up. And I would assume there was a tractor trailer rig that had turned over very close to this overpass. And there may be efforts underway now to right it and completely clear the road so traffic can return to normal. And in the meantime, they have shut down the southbound lanes completely, so traffic at a standstill. If you plan to head in this direction toward Bullitt County, please take an alternate route.
I think that's a wrecker there underneath.
Yeah. Traffic is just a small byproduct tonight, though, of the devastation that's affected this area and the cleanup that's going to be going on for days. As you saw from that previous video from Sky 11, right after the storm occurred, there was very, very little movement. Now you can see, I think you can see that the truck is overturned just off the curb there, just off the shoulder, and actually maybe lodged up against the pillars there under this Brooks Road overpass at I-65, and the reason they've blocked off the road is they're obviously going to have to stretch a wire, and a crane is going to have to pull it back upright before they can move this thing out. So this is just the beginning of clearing the way in southern Jefferson County and North Bullitt County before they really get down to the work of cleaning up what is now a major disaster.
And our Jim Turner is on the phone with us now. Jim, where are you and what can you tell us?
Well, we're outside the Tanyard Springs subdivision. I think you were seeing that from Sky 11 a little earlier as I listened to the coverage, and they have blocked off the entrance to the what I believe is the southern or the eastern part of the subdivision. They're not letting anyone in. So as far as reports from how extensive the damage is on the ground, it's tough to say. What you saw from Sky 11 was probably the best indication of the damage there that we are going to get, at least for now, Melissa.
It is very extensive. Jim, the people who are trying to get into the subdivision, do you get the sense that they realize the extent of the damage back there?
No, I don't think most of the people out here realize it, because the power's out down here in a lot of the area, and they haven't seen the televised reports. In many cases, they haven't listened to reports, and they do not know, I don't think, just how extensive it is. They haven't seen those dramatic pictures from the air.
Any idea if they'll be allowed in tonight at all, since it's so dark back there?
We haven't talked to an official at this point yet. That's one thing we will try to do, and as soon as we know about when they may be able to get back in that area, we'll let you know. But given the extent of the damage, I would guess that it could be a while.
Jim, do you have any idea what they're doing to determine whether or not there are people injured in there? Are they going house by house? Do you have any idea what they're doing?
Well, just getting to this area on Preston Highway was difficult. There was so much traffic. So many people are out, it looks like, surveying the damage themselves, and that, as you know, causes serious problems for emergency vehicles trying to get to the area. We had one ambulance pass us on the way to this subdivision. We haven't seen it leave. It could have taken a different route because of the heavy traffic, but in the past half hour or so, we've only seen one ambulance rolling in this area with its lights on and moving as quickly as it could. So if that's any indication, and we don't know that it is, but if it is any indication, then if anyone was seriously hurt, then they have gotten them from here at this point.
I know that you've been in disaster-type situations before, and you know how quickly those emergency vehicles can move if people need them. We're getting reports of very few and only minor injuries. Are you getting the feeling that very few people, we hope, luckily, were injured in this?
Well, I've just talked to a few people, but from what I've heard, I haven't heard of extensive serious injuries. We've seen the dramatic evidence of the damage to the structures from the air from Sky 11, but we haven't talked to anyone yet who's told us about any serious injuries. You would think there would be some, and we may learn more about that as the night goes on, but at this point, I myself haven't heard of anything too serious. But again, I've just talked to a couple of people.
We hope that holds true. Thank you very much, Jim Turner. Call us back anytime with more information. We want to know the latest that is going on in that area of Bullitt County, and you have seen Lawrence Smith in Spencer County near Taylorsville, although his path was blocked by a tree. For some of our crews, they're finding that it's just as difficult for them to get to these locations as it would be for anyone else, of course. And we do have down trees and down power lines and all of that, but you can see from Sky 11 that it is considerable damage in this one area, and it extends for several miles. Yes.
Let's go to, once again, to Sky 11, which is up over Preston Highway, we understand. And, of course, this is another major thoroughfare in the southern part of Jefferson County and also stretching into Bullitt County. It goes past North Bullitt High School there. And as you can see, traffic is backed up and blockaded here. This has been another one of the command post areas, and let me see if I can get a hold of George Sells. George, are you up there? Can you tell us what we're looking at right now?
Yeah, Gary, you're looking at Preston Highway coming into the area where the heaviest of the damage is. It is completely shut down, moving in that direction. They are letting vehicles that are trying to cross through the other way pass, it appears. But for the most part, if you're not an emergency vehicle, you're not getting in this area. We showed you a few minutes ago I-65. That's also shut down at this point. It appears from here, like you said earlier, they're trying to right a truck. But if you can look down here, you can see they are turning cars around. Everybody who comes up to that area pretty much is being told to make a U-turn and clear the area. And that's basically what's happening at this point. Only emergency vehicles are being let in. It's kind of interesting, though, these subdivisions are shut off, but before it got dark, you couldn't really see it as it was hitting dusk, but people who were in those homes were out walking the streets, and it was a very eerie scene, seeing dozens upon dozens of people just kind of aimlessly walking up and down a couple of those streets. They seem to be in groups. I don't know if they've been cleared out of that since night has fallen or not, but you can see from here Preston Highway closed, trying to keep people out of this area as much as possible. That's the biggest problem that they're facing right now, is just keeping the scene clear, it appears, from up here. Gary?
George, flying over the affected subdivisions that have been damaged, are you able to see emergency vehicles back in there now working? I know at first there was little or no movement of vehicles back into the damaged areas. Are they beginning to get back into the areas now? Have they opened those at least to their own emergency vehicles to get some work done?
Yeah, Gary, it appears it's nothing we can really show. We can try maybe to spin around this way here and try to show photographer Paul Kaczarski, who has been giving you all these pictures all night long. Spinning around here, and you can see the flicker of light in the darkness at various locations. That's where you're seeing some emergency vehicles inside and milling around some now. Very few of them. But there's a kind of a smattering of emergency lights as you move through this area that is obviously very dark, out of power, of course, with all of this damage.
Cells aloft in Sky 11 tonight, just east of I-65 near the Brooks Road exit, an area affected terrifically by a tornado tonight, and much damage, but although we do not know if there has been much in the way of injuries, although about 3 people are being treated at area hospitals tonight. Beth Andrews is here with me for just a moment as Melissa takes a break, and the storm system has now moved into central Kentucky, and I know the last we were worried about was still the Hodgenville area. LaRue County was still under a warning.
Right, why don't we take a look at NextRad and see who's still getting the heavy part of a storm, and LaRue County is still getting a pretty intense thunderstorm, especially in the eastern part. This, though, you folks down in LaRue County, this is not the same storm, exactly the same cell anyway, that produced the tornadoes earlier. That is over to the east of us. You can see a huge complex of storms to the southeast of Lexington. Those are all producing tornadoes. So we've still got a pretty bad situation over towards Lexington, but south of Louisville, we've got the warning out for LaRue County. That'll be dropping into Hart, Greene, and Taylor County. We'll be keeping an eye on that area as well for a possible severe weather development. We'll keep you updated on that.
Let's talk a little bit about the severity of the storm. You were here as a young person when the storm went through in '74. Can you compare this, your memory of that, and this?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar. It's real similar, and that's what's so frightening when you first see those pictures in your own hometown. You know, you just think, oh, it's happened again. That's the first thing we said. In fact, when we saw those pictures, we went 74. It looks just like it, and it does. I was in 3rd grade during the '74 tornado at a ballet recital, and I was in it, and I saw it, and I walked home in the damage, and it was one of the most frightening moments of my life, and it was one of the things that made me want to get into weather now. And I know what these folks must have had to go through earlier, and it's devastating, and it's very comparable. I don't know about the wide scale, how big the area is going to turn out to be, because we don't know exactly the extent of the damage as far as how far it goes. But in this area here, this is certainly comparable to that tornado. This is terrible damage, almost every home being either wiped out or extremely damaged. So we can certainly compare this. I would say this has to be the worst one that we've had since then.
I think if I remember this from the earlier coverage now, we had shown you some earlier damage that was just south of the Jefferson County line, but this is considerably south of Jefferson County, an area as far south as Mount Washington, and it too hit by tornado-like winds, or hit by a tornado actually. You can see the residue also of the heavy rains, streams running muddy with water, portions of buildings tossed around like sticks, roofs blown off. It's just a scene of devastation in this area, and this was the scene about 8:15 to 8:30 tonight, right after a storm hit Jefferson and Bullitt County and Spencer County with a double wallop. We were hit by this earlier storm that produced tornadoes, and then by a second storm that passed through about 8:30 to 9 o'clock, and as we said, added insult to this considerable damage that you see here before you, and it's going to be, I would assume, in the many millions of dollars throughout this at least this stretch that we expect is 7 to 10 miles long, a path of destruction 7 to 10 miles long in northern Bullitt and southern Jefferson County.
There you see a more rural area. This is very close to Mount Washington now, and Sky 11 and George Sells had moved on from Mount Washington in the subdivision areas and a little bit in this rural area. You could also see that we must have had some very hard rain with it, something we haven't really talked about, and I'm not sure, Beth, if you've heard the amounts of rain that came along with this, but you'll see there were a lot of flooded streets in the subdivisions. It's harder to tell in the rural areas, but you could tell that this also packed a lot of moisture with it as well as it came through. A furious wind, and in the rural areas you can see the kind of hopscotch nature of the storms as they will pick a place to light and move on.
We don't know if any of these people, any of these damaged areas are receiving help even at this hour, because as you can see, many of these are in isolated rural areas between North Bullitt and Mount Washington. So, and you can see back in the forest there, this is a rural forested area, and the trees were just bent like sticks, exposing the where they were snapped off in the middle. So beyond the damage to houses, we also have damage to forests, and there is a muddied stream full to its banks, we would assume. And this has just been a terrible time for weather in the place we call Kentuckiana. It has just battered us, and tonight was the last, we hope the last round, but the worst blow of all.
We have this just in now from University Hospital. We have been talking about injuries, and University Hospital had told us earlier on this evening, within the hour, that they did not have injuries at that point because the ambulances were still working their way back. They do have a gentleman now at University Hospital. This comes from a spokesperson there. His name is Dale Hager. He's 32 years old. Evidently, Mr. Hager was in a trailer home when the tornado hit. He has fractured ribs. He is awake and alert, however, so the injuries, while very painful and could potentially be serious, do not appear to be at this point. This is a Bullitt County patient, and he was in a mobile home at the time. We have not, from Sky 11, seen that I don't think that was one there. We have not seen mobile homes, and we were talking earlier that it was very fortunate that this whole subdivision was not made up of mobile homes, because we would then indeed have injuries, no doubt about it.
Yeah, the houses that you've seen here, and obviously a mobile home, always a danger in winds like this, but the houses that you're seeing that have been damaged and destroyed are substantial wood and brick structures. And look, that's if you can see that, that's a power line tower that has been toppled there. And as Melissa, you said this was near Mount Washington. That had to be a tremendous wind to twist a metal tower like that and tear it down. So this was a horrific storm, and it just has left damage unlike anything we've seen here in a decade, and I don't know how much more we're going to find.
I just think it's so fortunate that so far we haven't had the injury report. The April 3rd tornado was so devastating as far as deaths and injuries as well, and we can just pray that what we've had indications of early on holds true. It may not, but so far so good, and we're just praying that things stay the way they are. Luckily, we do have a much better warning system than we did back then. Luckily, we were able to tell people ahead of time that there was a tornado in that area. When you're saying those warnings, you're absolutely praying to God that people are listening to you and taking you seriously, because as you see here, it happens. It happens here in the Louisville area. It does.
And we have had so much of it because, of course, we all sat here Derby Eve talking about the tremendous hail we have, and it seems like it's been at least once a week since then. This, of course, is the worst of the springtime storms that we have had for nearly a month solid now. And it didn't appear, Beth, did it, when it all began? I mean, we knew since yesterday that we were probably going to have severe weather this afternoon. But it just seemed to keep building and building, and unlike a lot of storms, this one did not break up. It went right through the Lexington. We know that it touched down near Lexington and Fayette County and Scott County area. This was a powerful storm, and it refused to give up.
The thing about this storm that was a little bit unusual is that we did have the line of thunderstorms. That's the second one that we've been watching just as the evening continues. It's dropping south of us. That's normally what you'd see along a front. You'd see a line of thunderstorms pop up along that front and push south-southeast. In this situation, we had a supercell that formed the head of that line. And as it dropped through Harrison County, there were tornado sightings near Corridon, and then it dropped south of the Ohio River, and it looked like maybe it was going to be okay because it seemed to break apart a little bit. Just south of the Ohio River, there was a severe thunderstorm warning for Louisville, but then it just regathered its strength and went full force as it dropped south of Louisville into the southeastern part of Jefferson County and into Bullitt County and Spencer County. It pulled itself together, had a tremendous amount of energy to pull from. It was basically in an area that had been sunny all day, had 82 degrees. We had our dew points way up, which means the air was very saturated, humidity was very high. Everything was there. Everything was there for the making of this kind of storm. Everything's been there a couple of times before this, and it hasn't happened, but this time it all pulled together, and you can see the result of it.
These pictures, of course, recorded earlier from Sky 11, and as we have said before, We did not know when these pictures were put on the air what we were about to see. We knew we were going to see an overturned tractor trailer, and that was pretty much it as far as we knew. And as Sky 11 and the crew in Sky 11 kept recording, it was a surprise to them as well, and they kept recording this video of just houses scattered across the countryside. They're near Pioneer Village in Bullitt County. If you have just joined us for some reason, what was the time of this tornado, do you think, Beth?
About 8 o'clock, right?
I think it was a little earlier than that.
It was earlier than that. We got these
pictures. We've been on so long. I'm trying to find the actual warning. I thought
we got these pictures from Sky 11.
Yeah, we were
right
on the air
about
doing
8
an
o'clock.
election special at 7 o'clock, so that's when it struck.
The one that we had right before the election special at 7 o'clock. I think it was at about 10 till 7 when I went on, and we pretty much went straight through.
And then these pictures came to us about 8 o'clock. So about an hour and 10 minutes later, we discovered the extent of the damage live as it was unfolding, and so did our crew in Sky 11.
And once again, for those of you who are just perhaps getting home or something like this, this is tornado damage in northern Bullitt County, and let's show you the path of the tornado tonight. We have a new graphic that we can bring to you, and it started right along the Ohio River, down around Meade County, and moved along the Jefferson Bullitt County line, then through the
It actually started up a little bit further north. It actually started in Harrison County and dropped south.
And then along a line that stretched into Spencer County, it was also spotted around Bloomfield and then into the Lexington area, and then tornado warnings once again were issued for Richmond in Madison County as this storm moved.
They're still being issued out east of us. Yes.
Well, there you go.
And apparently a tornado was spotted on the ground on the Fayette-Scott County line. It was the Fayette-Scott County line.
Near Georgetown.
And so as it continues to track on out of our viewing area, it doesn't mean that it's over. It is just out of our viewing area. There you can see how it's pressing ahead through Lexington, through Fayette County, Scott County, on, it looks like it may be working its way even south and east toward the London area.
Yeah, we can't actually see that supercell that produced the tornado damage in Bullitt County on this radar picture because it's pretty far east, but I just know from the warnings that have come over that we're continuing to get them even very far in the eastern part of Kentucky. It's way out there right now. This is the second line that's coming down now and is weakening to the south of us. All the energy is going to the east of Lexington.
Now, Beth, did we get the usual shift around of wind to the north and much cooler temperatures behind this? Was this a conflict of cool air and hot air?
Yes, yes, it was. It was definitely, our temperature difference was about at least 10 degrees, if not 15 degrees, between behind the front and ahead of it. Now, this is your pretty typical summer storm spring storm setup that you have, the warm, moist air coming up from the Gulf. You got the jet stream, you've got the cool, dry air coming down from the north. We had a low pressure system located just north of the Ohio Valley, and we had the front pressing through. This is pretty much your textbook spring storm. That supercell that formed ahead of it, that's what gave us the absolutely tremendous storm that came ahead of even this line. This line is strong. This line has been producing possible tornadoes in itself, but it's that supercell ahead of this line that brought that horrible weather to Bullitt County and even into Spencer County. It was the fact that there was a smaller area ahead of this that was able to gather up all the energy all to itself ahead of this line, and that's a very dangerous situation when you get into that, when you have one small thunderstorm area that can sap up all this energy and keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that is what happened with this storm.
Of course, there are a lot of people out there who may need shelter tonight.
5 and about a mile to the east of Preston Highway, and you can see some of them are flattened, some of them appear to have that twisting look that would be associated with a funnel cloud or a tornado. Then it's on over to Mount Washington along Kentucky 44, and still more storm damage, more damaged homes, more damaged businesses. The end of a path about 5 miles long.
Now, police here in Pioneer Village confirmed to us that they believe, yes, it was a tornado. And in fact, some of the residents seem to believe there may have been 2 or 3 tornadoes that seemed to join together as it started on its path across here. And photographer Kim Bradley and I were not too far away on Interstate 65 listening to some of the traffic as some of the police officers were following, and it appeared to be at least one or more tornadoes in the area. Because we were so close, we were able to get into Pioneer Village in the newer area along Ridgemont Road literally minutes after the tornado had passed through. And when we got back into that area, some of the residents were just coming out of their houses and were still trying to get a grip on just what had happened in their neighborhood. And we'll show you in this video.
Pioneer.
Neighbors went from house to house in Pioneer Village, checking to see if anyone was hurt. Just minutes before, the tornado tore through the outskirts of this neighborhood, snapping trees, tearing off roofs, and literally blowing houses off of their foundations. Miraculously, no one here was hurt, but plenty were scared and shocked.
Yeah, it was like
just
a
everything
rumbling.
started busting,
like
and it's just like pressure in your ears.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awful. It was just
but
like.
There's a lot of people that have worse damage over there.
There's a lady.
Just saw the trees almost bent in half, and we headed for the basement.
The lights went out. He said, "Oh my God, here comes somebody's garage. Get down, get down."
I seen that roof come off and come this way. I just get in the hall, get down.
Most of these houses in this neighborhood have no basements. Residents, as soon as they realized what was happening, rushed inside to hallways and bathrooms.
I was sound asleep and I heard the wind, and then I ran downstairs and got her and